Going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video. Or today, I want to talk a little bit about free agency and who's left out there now that the draft is done and we know who we have from the draft and what holes still need to be filled. The question is, what do the Colts do? How do they fill their roster, continue to get better as we get into the 2024 season? So, as I was looking at it, of course, I think the first thing to start with here is going to be cornerbacks. The Colts don't draft anybody in the secondary until late. I believe it was the fifth round before the Colts got a secondary player. So, when you look at it, like we were talking so much about the Colts' first round pick being a corner. Okay, we kind of expected them to get a corner earlier in this draft. They didn't end up doing so. And Chris Ballard has talked about liking his group, right? And we've talked about that on this channel. About how Dallas Flowers, when he comes back from injury, he should be all right. Juju Brent, you just got to expect he'll be all right. Like last year, yeah, he had some hamstring issues, but he's had plenty of time to kind of chill out. He's had plenty of time to rehab that injury, get back into football. So I think Juju Brent should be just fine. And then you have Jalen Jones. All right. And of course, you have Kenny Moore in the slot. So overall, I think the Colts do like their cornerback group. I think it's a pretty good cornerback group. It's just really young, right? Not a whole lot of experience. They got to learn. They got to continue to get better. But when you look at it, if you wanted to add a veteran to that group, right, specifically on the outside, get an outside guy that's been doing it for a long time. If you want to get one of those guys, then what would the options be, right? And you start at, and we're going to go in order of basically who's making the most money. That's how this list is put together here on SpoTrack. First, you have Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard is about to be 31 years old, was just making $18 million a year. He's probably going to want a lot of money, which is the thing that really takes him out of the conversation for me. I also don't know. He hasn't really been Xavier Howard over the last few years. Like, he's still one of the better corners in the league, but in terms of being shut down, he's not like that anymore, not completely. And he's going to warrant money that would typically go to somebody who's a shutdown corner at this point. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. But Xavier Howard, I don't think should be an option for the Colts. But somebody that I think could be is Adoree Jackson, who's previously with the Giants making $13 million a year. He's going to be 29 this next upcoming season at some point. So Adoree Jackson, I think, has been good. Has he been, top shelf in the NFL with, the Xavier Howards of the world, the Stephon Gilmores? I just don't know if he's ever really been that level of player. But Adoree Jackson, still good, might be a good vet to add into that room. Like with the choices that are out here, probably not the guy that I would pick, but that ended up being the route they went. Wouldn't be completely mad at it as long as the price wasn't crazy. The next up is somebody that has been on the Colts before, and that's Stephon Gilmore, who made $10 million last year with the Cowboys. He's going to be 34 this next upcoming season. So obviously somebody that's getting up there in age, but over the last couple of years with the Colts and the Cowboys has shown that with the age, he is able to continue to produce. He is able to be sticky in coverage now. There is a clip from last year where he got toasted on a route. That'll happen, man. In the NFL, that'll happen. Stephon Gilmore is still, in my opinion, one of the better corners in the league and showed it last year. So if we wanted to bring Stephon Gilmore back in, right, somebody that has been in the Gus Bradley system, somebody that people on the team know, somebody that people on the team respect, I think it'd be a good idea. If he wanted to come back, that'd be completely on him. He's the one who wanted out, right? Because of the situation that the Colts were in, it just made sense. Hey, let's let you go, try to win a championship somewhere. Hey, maybe he comes back and he tries to win with the Colts again. Who knows what'll happen with him? He could be one of those guys that waits until training camp comes around to get signed. It's probably pretty likely that he's going to try not to do training camp with what he is, being 34 years old. Probably going to try to skip it, but if we got Stephon Gilmore, I think that would be nice. Like he's probably one of my top, if not my top option to come in as a cornerback. Somebody that at his age would probably be a little bit cheaper than some of these other guys are going to be, right? And if you can, there's a reason, right? We're going to continue talking about free agents. There's a reason I want the cheapest option, right? The cheapest option that's going to be good for us. I think Stephon Gilmore could be that guy. Okay, but the last guy to talk about here is going to be Akila Witherspoon, previously on the Rams, making just over $1 million for them. He's 29 years old. So, and he's going to be 29 years old throughout this season. So, not a guy that's hit that 30-year-old wall yet, and a guy that again has never been at the top of the conversation of one of the best corners in the NFL. But he has a good skill set. Physically, he's what Chris Ballard would like in terms of athleticism, in terms of size, arm length. So I think Akila Witherspoon is an interesting name to bring up and be one that it would make our room better. It would definitely make the room better. But is Akila Witherspoon really a guy that you bring in to start day one over who we already have? Right? Again, you could start the year with Jalen Jones and Juju Brents, but then you have Dallas Flowers as backup. I don't know what the plan is. Maybe Dallas Flowers comes out and starts. I just assume coming off the Achilles, maybe they don't want to start him right away. So it'll be interesting to see what we decide to do with the guys that we have. But I don't know if Akila Witherspoon is a guy that you bring in to try to start day one with what you already have, right? If you're going to go get something, that kind of situation where you can get a guy to come in and start day one, hey, it's going to be Stephon Gilmore. The guys we talked about, all the guys on this list, all the free agent corners right now, if we had to bring one in, for me, it's going to be Stephon Gilmore. I'd like to see him come back to the Colts. I think he'd be really good. Yeah, he might not win every rep, man. That happens in the NFL. Okay. He had a really good year with us. But don't forget, we lost to the Commanders because Terry McLaurin was able to get by him just enough. Right. It wasn't like Terry McLaurin was wide open for a touchdown. All right. It was just enough of an opening. It's going to happen. At the rules in the NFL lean towards the offense. And at the end of the day, the wide receivers, some of the best athletes on the planet, are going to be able to win some of these reps against these defenders. So, say what you want about Stephon Gilmore. I still think Stephon Gilmore has some tread on the tires. I still think he's good. So, if we had a chance to bring him back to Indy, I'd be down with that. Just can't be for a crazy amount. Again, we have to have money left over for other free agents. There are other things I think the Colts should do, and maybe cornerback not even on that list. We'll get more into that as we continue to go through this offseason. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you get notified when these conversations continue. We're going to continue talking about the draft picks as well. And I want your opinion on everything. So again, make sure you have those notifications turned on so you're getting notified when all these videos drop. Of course, I appreciate you joining me for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.